The day a demon betrayed hell to save an angel. Before there was silence, there was war. Not the kind fought with steel and blood, but with light and fire. Before kingdoms rose from dust. Before humanity whispered its first prayer. Before time learned how to count itself. Heaven split, and hell was born. They say demons do not feel mercy. They do not hesitate. They do not question. They do not regret. They obey. They destroy. They remember only the rebellion. Because every demon was once something else. Once they stood in light. Once they sang among stars. Once they were angels. But when the great fall tore the sky open, when pride ignited war in the heavens, when loyalty divided eternity, they chose, and in choosing, they burned. Hell is not chaos. It is order without hope. It is discipline without love. It is hierarchy forged in rage. At its center stands a throne carved from defiance, and beneath it, legions. Legions of fallen beings who remember what light felt like and hate it for what it reminds them of. Among them was one who had never questioned the darkness. He hunted. He obeyed. He crushed resistance in heaven's outer courts. He dragged broken wings into the abyss. He had a name once, but hell erased it. Now he was only a weapon, until the day everything changed. There are prisons in hell not meant for demons. Vaults carved into the deepest fire. Cells built not for the fallen, but for the faithful. Because sometimes angels are captured. Sometimes heaven's warriors fall into enemy hands. And when they do, they are not destroyed. They are studied, broken, mocked, displayed as trophies. On the day the angel arrived, hell gathered. Her wings were bound in burning chains. Her light dimmed but not extinguished. She did not scream. She did not beg. She looked at the abyss with something far more dangerous than fear: pity. And that was the first crack in him. A demon does not understand pity. He understands power, dominance, submission. But when she looked at him, not with hatred, not with terror, but with sorrow, something ancient stirred, a memory, a whisper of who he used to be. In hell, hesitation is treason, compassion is death, and doubt is punishable by annihilation. Yet when the command came, "Break her!" he did not move. For the first time since the fall, a demon disobeyed. That was the day hell trembled, not because an angel resisted, but because a demon hesitated. And in hell, hesitation is the seed of betrayal. What could make a creature forged in rebellion turn against his own kind? What could be powerful enough to fracture hatred older than humanity? What price does hell demand for treason against its throne? And can something born in darkness choose the light, even if it destroys him? This is not a story of romance. It is not a story of innocence. It is a story of war, of identity, of memory, of redemption clawing its way out of the abyss. This is the story of the day a demon betrayed hell to save an angel. Here are the 6 chapters we are going to talk about in this story. Hear me, the fall when heaven split and hell was born. We begin with the celestial rebellion, the war in heaven, the moment angels chose sides, how the demon was once a being of light, the transformation from angel to weapon of hell, the creation of hell's hierarchy and throne. This sets the cosmic stakes and establishes his forgotten identity. 2. The prisoner of light, the angel who would not break. A captured angel is dragged into hell. Why she was captured, why she is different from the other prisoners, her unshaken faith in the abyss. The first moment she looks at him with pity, not fear. The crack that begins forming in his loyalty. This is the emotional ignition point. 3. The command to destroy when obedience becomes treason. Hell orders him to break her. The ruler of hell sensing weakness. Demonic enforcers watching him. His internal war, memory versus loyalty. The first act of hesitation, the moment he chooses not to obey. This is the turning point. The betrayal begins. 4. The forbidden escape, treason in the abyss. He decides to free her, breaking infernal chains, hell's alarms igniting, demonic legions hunting them, heaven sensing something impossible, the angel questioning why he is helping. This is the action-heavy, high-stakes escape arc. 5. The wrath of hell, judgment for betrayal. The throne responds, the ruler confronting him. Accusations of weakness and memory, the demon forced to face who he once was. The price of treason, a battle that shakes both realms. This is the emotional and supernatural climax. 6. Redemption or ruin, can a demon choose the light? The final question, is redemption possible for the fallen? Will heaven accept his sacrifice? Will he be destroyed, transformed, or exiled? What becomes of the angel he saved? What does his betrayal mean for the cosmic war? This closes the saga with either tragedy, transformation, or a cliffhanger for a sequel. Chapter 1. The fall when heaven split and hell was born. Before there was hell, there was harmony. Before rebellion had a name, there was light. Heaven was not silent. It pulsed with living brilliance. Cities of crystal flame stretched across eternity. Choirs of celestial beings sang in frequencies that shaped reality itself. Among them stood warriors of radiant fire, guardians of divine order. And among those warriors stood him. He was not a demon, not yet. He bore a name of light than one spoken in harmonies, not growls. A commander in heaven's outer ranks, a blade forged in loyalty. He did not question. He did not doubt. He burned with devotion. Part 1, the first whisper of pride. Rebellion did not begin with war. It began with a whisper. A voice among the highest ranks began to question. Why bow? Why serve? Why should glory belong to one alone? That voice belonged to a being of unimaginable brilliance, once the most beautiful among them. A leader, a light bearer. And when pride entered him, it spread like fire through dry wings. He promised freedom. He promised power. He promised equality with the throne. And many listened, including him. Part 2, the choice that shattered eternity. He remembers the moment still. Not the speech, not the persuasion, but the choice. He stood at the edge of heaven's vast expanse as allegiance lines formed across the skies. On one side, loyalty. On the other, defiance. He told himself it was about strength, about self-determination, about no longer kneeling. But deep beneath that justification was pride. And when he stepped forward, the sky trembled. Part 3, War in the Heavens. The rebellion did not go unanswered. Heaven responded, not with chaos, but with order sharpened into judgment. Celestial armies clashed. Light collided with fractured light. Swords forged of divine fire met blades twisted by rage. The war did not last centuries. It did not need to. Truth does not negotiate with pride. He fought. He struck former brothers. He saw angels he once stood beside fall into silence. And then the heavens opened. Part 4, the casting down. They were not defeated slowly. They were cast down. The rebel host was expelled, torn from the glory they once inhabited. The fall was not like falling through air. It was like being ripped from existence. Light faded. Harmony shattered. Heat replaced warmth. And they descended into a realm not yet fully formed. A void. A pit. A place carved from separation itself. Hell was not created as a kingdom. It became one through their presence. A realm born from rebellion. Part 5, Transformation. The change was immediate. Wings of brilliance darkened. Voices once harmonic grew harsh. The fire that once illuminated now consumed. He looked at himself and saw something unrecognizable. The memory of heaven did not disappear. It became torment. Every echo of what he once was burned worse than the flames around him. But pride would not allow regret. So regret hardened, and hardness became identity. He erased his name. He accepted a new one given by hell. Not a name of light, a name of fear. Part 6. The Throne in the Abyss. The one who led the rebellion did not weep. He did not mourn. He built. A throne rose from the infernal landscape. Order formed within chaos. Ranks were established. Dominion claimed. Hell became structured, disciplined, militant. It was not mindless destruction. It was strategic defiance. And he rose quickly through the ranks. Because he did not hesitate. He did not falter. He proved himself loyal to the rebellion. He crushed doubt in others. He silenced whispers of longing. He became a weapon. Part 7. The cost of the fall. But the fall did something irreversible. It did not only change their form, it fractured their essence. Demons cannot create. They can only corrupt. They cannot build light. They can only twist it. And though they claimed strength, they were severed. Severed from glory. Severed from purpose. Severed from the presence that once sustained them. Hell was not merely a location. It was separation made permanent. And he told himself he preferred it. He told himself freedom was worth the cost. He told himself heaven was weakness. Until the day he would see light again. And remember, this was the beginning. The fracture. The choice that defined eternity. Before the angel. Before the betrayal. Before the impossible act of mercy. There was the fall. And in that fall, a warrior of heaven became a soldier of hell. Chapter 2, The Prisoner of Light. The angel who would not break. Hell had taken angels before. It was rare, but it happened. Border skirmishes. Ambushes in the outer veils between realms. Moments where vigilance slipped. Captured angels were trophies. Symbols. Proof that rebellion could wound heaven. But they never lasted long. Angels either escaped or were extinguished. None endured. Until her. Part 1. The Arrival. The day she was brought into the abyss, the skies of hell darkened deeper than usual. Infernal horns sounded across obsidian towers. Legions gathered in rings of flame. She was dragged in chains forged from condensed rebellion metal that burned with hatred itself. Her wings were bound. Feathers scorched but not destroyed. Her radiance dimmed but not extinguished. She did not scream. She did not curse. She did not plead. She walked, even in chains, even surrounded by thousands of fallen warriors. She walked as if light still remembered her. He was there when she arrived, standing at the right hand of the abyssal throne, a general of hell, armor carved from volcanic stone, eyes glowing with infernal fire. He had overseen countless torments, countless interrogations, countless breakings. But this felt different. Part 2. Light in the abyss. Hell reacts violently to light. Flames bend away from it. Shadows recoil. When she entered the central pit, the very air trembled. Her presence did not overpower hell. It irritated it, like a wound exposed. She knelt when forced not in submission, but in stillness. And when she lifted her head, she looked at them. Not with hatred, not with fear, but with sorrow. Part 3, the first look. Her eyes met his, only for a moment. But it was enough. There was no accusation in her gaze, no defiance, no terror, just recognition. As if she saw something in him that even he had buried. He turned away immediately. Demons do not hold eye contact with angels. It awakens memory, and memory is dangerous. Part 4, the Order. The throne spoke, a voice like collapsing mountains. She would be studied, interrogated, broken, not destroyed. Her resilience intrigued hell. If they could shatter her publicly, it would send a message to heaven. Hope dies here. He was assigned to oversee it, because he had never failed, because he had never hesitated, because mercy had never touched him. Until now. Part 5. The interrogation. They began with fire. Infernal flames coiled around her wings. Chains tightened. Shadows whispered lies into her mind. He watched. He waited for the scream. It never came. Her jaw tightened. Her light flickered. But she endured. And then she spoke. Not curses, not threats, but words that did not belong in hell. You were not made for this. The chamber fell silent. No angel had ever addressed a demon like that. He stepped forward, gripped her chin with clawed fingers, forced her to look at him. You know nothing of what I was made for. She did not resist his grip. She did not struggle. She whispered, I remember your kind. That was the second crack. Part 6, the memory. Demons are stripped of names, stripped of music, stripped of harmony, but not of memory. Memory lingers like a scar beneath armor. And when she spoke, something old stirred inside him. A battlefield of light, a voice calling his true name, wings that once reflected glory instead of flame. He crushed the memory down, shoved it back into darkness, and ordered the torment to continue. Part 7. The unbreakable. Days passed, or what passed for days in hell. She did not break. She weakened physically. Her light dimmed further, but her will remained intact. She prayed, in hell. And when she prayed, the abyss trembled faintly. Demons grew restless. Whispers spread. Why does she not shatter? Why does he hesitate? Because he was hesitating. Not visibly, not openly, but internally. He delayed harsher measures. He altered schedules. He dismissed lesser tormentors. He told himself it was strategy, but it was something else. He was protecting her, and he did not yet understand why. Part 8. The third crack. One moment changed everything. She collapsed. Chains pulling her forward, wings nearly extinguished. He approached to evaluate her condition. She looked up again, weaker now, voice barely a breath. There is still light in you. The chamber exploded in laughter from watching demons. He did not laugh. He felt rage, not at her, at the possibility. He leaned closer. You are dying, she answered softly. No, I am not. And in that instant, he realized something terrifying. She believed it. Not survival, not escape, redemption. For him. Part 9. Treason begins as a thought. That was the moment hell shifted. Not when chains would break, not when alarms would sound, but when a thought entered his mind he had not allowed in millennia. What if she is right? What if this is not what I was made for? In hell, treason does not begin with action. It begins with doubt. And doubt had taken root. This was no longer about breaking an angel. This was about confronting what he had become. The prisoner of light was not shattering. She was revealing. And the more she endured, the more fragile his certainty became. Chapter 3. The command to destroy. When obedience becomes treason. Hell does not tolerate uncertainty. It senses weakness the way sharks sense blood. Whispers had already begun moving through the ranks. She still breathes. She still shines. He delays. The abyss watches its generals carefully. And the throne misses nothing. Part 1. The summoning. He was called before the throne alone. The chamber of dominion was carved from black volcanic glass, rivers of lava flowing beneath transparent stone. Above, no sky, only endless shadow rotating like a wound that never heals. The ruler of hell sat unmoving, a presence more than a figure. Light twisted around him like it feared to exist. You were given a task. The voice did not echo. It crushed. She endures, he replied. She defies. And you hesitate. The accusation was not loud. It was absolute. Part 2, the decree. She will be destroyed. The words struck like a blade. Not tortured further. Not studied. Destroyed. Publicly. Before the legions. Her execution would become spectacle proof that hope dies in the abyss, and he would do it, as an example of loyalty. As you command, he answered, because that is what demons do. They obey. Part 3, the walk back. He returned to the prison pit, each step heavier than iron. The legions gathered. They sensed finality. They hungered for it. The angel was brought forward. Chains tightened. Her wings barely held their shape now. Her glow faint, but not gone. Never gone. He stood before her. Blade forged from infernal fire materialized in his hand. The crowd roared. Part 4, the moment. He lifted the blade. She did not close her eyes. She looked at him, not pleading, not accusing, just steady. You don't belong here. The words were barely audible over the roar of demons. But to him, they were thunder. Memory surged again. The battlefield in heaven, the moment of choice, the step he took toward rebellion. He had told himself it was strength. Now it felt like loss. Part 5, the blade trembles. Demons do not tremble, but his blade did, just slightly. The legions noticed. A murmur rippled outward. The throne's presence pressed against the arena like a storm about to break. Finish it! The command echoed inside his skull. He could feel hell watching through him, waiting, measuring. Part 6, the internal war. He saw two paths, one familiar. Strike, end her, reaffirm loyalty, silence doubt forever. The other unthinkable. Defy the throne, protect an enemy, invite annihilation. No demon had ever done it, because no demon believes redemption is possible, until one does. Part 7, the decision. The blade descended. The crowd screamed in triumph, and at the last possible breath, he shifted. The infernal blade struck the chains. They shattered. Light exploded outward. The arena fell silent. Absolute silence. He had not just spared her. He had broken hell's decree. Part 8, hell reacts. Alarms of molten sound tore across the abyss. Legions surged forward. Enforcers descended from spires of flame. The throne rose. For the first time since the fall, a demon had defied a direct command. And he stood there, surrounded by chaos, looking at the angel he was meant to destroy. You should run, he said. She answered softly. So should you. That was the moment obedience died, and treason was born. Part 9, the line crossed. There is no forgiveness in hell. No trials. No negotiations. Only punishment. By breaking her chains, he declared war against his own kind. Not with speeches, not with rebellion, but with mercy. And mercy is the greatest threat to tyranny. He turned toward the approaching legions, flames gathering in his hands, the angel behind him, wings trembling but free. For the first time since the fall, he chose not pride, not power, not hatred. He chose defiance for a different reason, not to rise above the throne, but to protect someone weaker than himself. That choice shook both realms, because in that instant, a demon remembered how to choose. Chapter 4, the forbidden escape, treason in the abyss. The chains shattered. Light burst outward, like a dying star flaring one last time. For a single heartbeat, hell recoiled. Demons shielded their faces. Shadows fractured against the sudden brilliance. And in that flash, he made his choice irreversible. Part 1. The silence before the storm. The arena stood frozen, thousands of fallen warriors staring at what should have been impossible. An angel unbound. A general of hell standing between her and the legions. Then the abyss screamed, not with sound alone, but with fury. Alarm bells forged from molten iron rang across the infernal towers. Spiked gates slammed shut. The sky of hell split with crimson lightning. The throne had declared him traitor. Part 2. The first clash. Enforcers descended from the obsidian spires, elite executioners of hell. Wings like torn blades. Armor dripping magma. They did not speak. They attacked. He moved before they struck. Infernal fire surged from his hands, no longer restrained. He had used this power to conquer before. Now he used it to protect. The first enforcer lunged. He shattered its blade mid-swing. The second aimed for the angel. He intercepted, taking the strike across his shoulder. Black fire spilled instead of blood. He did not fall. He roared, not in rage, in defiance. Part 3. The angel rises. Behind him, the angel struggled to stand. Her wings flickered weakly. But with her chains broken, something began to return. Light, faint but real, spread from her chest outward. She placed a trembling hand against his back, not to restrain him, to strengthen him. For the first time since the fall, he felt warmth that did not burn. It steadied him, and that terrified hell more than the battle. Part 4. The throne watches. High above, the ruler of hell rose from the abyssal throne. The realm itself responded. Mountains cracked. Lava surged. The sky folded inward. No demon escapes. That law was absolute. Until now. Part 5. Through the infernal gates. He grabbed her arm. We cannot win this. She nodded. I know. They moved. Not toward the throne, not toward deeper darkness, but toward the outer veils, the boundary between realms. Legions swarmed behind them. Infernal beasts unleashed from pits long sealed. Arrows of condensed hatred rained from the sky. He cut a path. Every strike he made felt heavier, because he was not fighting for dominance. He was fighting for freedom. Part 6. The edge of hell. They reached the ravine of exile, the scar where the fallen were first cast down. It pulsed with unstable energy, a tear in reality. Cross it, and you enter the space between realms. But crossing without permission means disintegration. He turned to her. If we fail here, you won't, she interrupted, her voice stronger now, light gathering behind her eyes. Why do you trust me? He demanded. She stepped closer. Because you already chose. Part 7. The final barrier. The ruler of hell appeared before them. Not fully formed, but vast. A silhouette of catastrophic power. You would abandon your kind for her? The voice shook existence. He stood taller. For myself. It was the first honest answer he had spoken since the fall. Hell does not forgive self-discovery. The ruler raised a hand. The ravine began collapsing. Reality tearing apart. Demons closing in from every side. Part 8. The leap. There was no more time. He wrapped one arm around her, turned toward the unstable tear in existence, and leapt. Infernal fire chased them. Shadow claws grasped at their wings. The ruler's roar followed them into the void, and then silence. Part 9. Between realms. They did not land in heaven, nor in hell, but in the in-between. A fractured expanse of drifting fragments of both light and shadow. The place no being was meant to dwell. He collapsed to one knee, his armor cracked, his infernal flames flickering wildly. She stood above him now, her light slowly stabilizing. "You can't stay as you are," she whispered. He looked at his hands. They were changing. Infernal fire and faint golden light colliding within his veins, tearing him apart from the inside. Behind them, the boundary to hell sealed shut, but not permanently. The ruler would not forget. Hell would hunt. And heaven had felt the disturbance. The escape was successful, but the war had only escalated, because now both realms knew the impossible had happened. A demon had chosen mercy and survived, for now. Chapter 5, The Wrath of Hell, Judgment for Betrayal. Hell does not negotiate. Hell does not pardon. Hell punishes, and treason is remembered forever. Part 1. The throne erupts. Deep within the infernal citadel, the ruler rose from the abyssal throne. The very foundations of hell trembled. The betrayal was not just an escape, it was infection. A demon had chosen something other than power, other than obedience, other than fear. That could not be allowed to spread. Legions gathered beneath the throne. Executioners, warlords, beasts forged in ancient rebellion. The command thundered across the abyss. Find them. But this was no ordinary hunt. This was an example. Part 2. The First Judgment. Before the legions departed, punishment began at home. Those who hesitated during the escape were dragged forward, not because they helped, but because they paused. In hell, hesitation is suspicion. Suspicion is weakness. Weakness is death. Flames consumed them before the gathered armies. A reminder. Loyalty is survival. Fear keeps order. But something dangerous flickered in the crowd. Not rebellion. Not yet. But doubt. And doubt spreads faster than fire. Part 3. The Hunter of Shadows. The ruler did not trust the legions alone, so he summoned something older. From beneath the lowest pit emerged a being rarely unleashed, a hunter forged before the fall was complete, neither demon nor beast, a void given shape. Its task was singular: erase the traitor, not capture, not redeem, erase. If the demon had crossed into the space between realms, then the hunter would follow. No boundary would hold it. Part 4. The Tremor in Heaven. But hell was not the only realm that felt the rupture. Far above, in the courts of light, disturbance rippled across eternity. A guardian approached the throne of heaven. The barrier has been crossed, not by angel alone, but by something corrupted, something altered. Heaven does not rush to anger, but it watches, and it remembers. The escape had drawn attention in both directions, and that made the situation far more dangerous. Part 5. The demon begins to change. Between realms, the fugitive felt it first. The fire inside him was unstable. Infernal rage no longer obeyed him as before. It clashed with something new, a faint pulse of light that refused to be extinguished. It hurt. Transformation always does. He dropped to his knees as energy tore through him. The angel knelt beside him. "You are not what you were." He clenched his fists. "I am not what I am supposed to be." Behind them, the void trembled. The hunter had entered the in-between. Part 6. The Chase Beyond Hell. The hunter did not roar. It did not threaten. It simply approached. Where it passed, fragments of drifting reality disintegrated. The demon stood, weakened, uncertain, but resolute. "This ends with me," he said. The angel shook her head. "No, this ends with choice." Hell wanted annihilation. Heaven wanted judgment. But neither understood what was forming. Something neither realm had seen before. A being born from rebellion, choosing redemption. Part 7. The ruler's final decree. Back in hell, the ruler made a final proclamation. If he survives, tear open the realms. The war would no longer remain contained. The betrayal would not be a whisper. It would become a catastrophe, because one demon choosing mercy threatened the foundation of fear itself, and hell survives on fear. Part 8, the battle approaches. In the void between realms, the hunter drew near. The angel's light strengthened. The demon's fire steadied darker, but no longer wild. Two broken beings standing against a force older than their rebellion. This was no longer escape. This was confrontation. And if they failed, the barrier between heaven and hell would collapse. If they succeeded, everything would change. The wrath of hell has been unleashed. But wrath is not the final word, because next comes the moment that decides eternity. Chapter 6. The choice that shook eternity, redemption, or ruin. The void between realms was unraveling. Fragments of heaven's radiance drifted like shattered glass. Shards of hell's fire burned without flame, and in the center of it all stood a demon who was no longer certain what he was. The hunter approached, silent, inevitable, erasure given form. Behind him, the angel's light grew steadier, not blinding, but pure. Part 1, the truth of the void. You cannot defeat it, she whispered. He already knew. The hunter was not a soldier. It was a law, a correction, a cosmic answer to rebellion. It existed to restore balance by destroying anomaly. And he was now the greatest anomaly in existence. Infernal by origin, touched by light, neither claimed, neither accepted. Part 2, the last temptation. The void trembled, and then a voice reached him. Not from the hunter, from below, from hell, the ruler. You still belong to me. The shadows around him thickened. Power surged through his veins. Familiar, dominant, terrifying. Return, the voice commanded. Bow again, destroy the angel, and I will restore you. Your rank, your power, your certainty. For a moment, the fire inside him roared in agreement. Certainty was easier than transformation. Obedience was easier than becoming something new. The hunter paused, waiting. Even annihilation honors free will. Part 3, the angel's words. The angel stepped forward, not with command, not with demand, with invitation. You were not created for chains, she said softly. You were created for glory. I chose rebellion, he growled. Yes, she replied. And now you can choose again. Choice. That word again. Heaven fell because of it. Hell exists because of it. And now eternity waited on it. Part 4. The hunter strikes. The hunter moved. Reality screamed. He had seconds. He could embrace hell's power and survive, or reject it and possibly cease to exist. The ruler's voice thundered one last time. Choose strength. The angel's voice whispered. Choose truth. Part 5. The decision. He looked at his hands. Flames danced across one. Light shimmered across the other. He understood something in that instant neither realm fully grasped. Power is not identity. Origin is not destiny. He closed his fist not around fire, but around light, and he let the infernal flames burn away. It was not painless. It was not gentle. It felt like dying, because in many ways it was. Part 6. The shattering of the hunter. The hunter struck, but when its void touched him, it did not erase him. It fractured. Light surged outward from his core. Not borrowed, not forced, chosen. The anomaly was no longer corruption. It was transformation. The hunter, created to erase rebellion, could not erase repentance. It shattered into drifting fragments of shadow. The void stabilized. Part 7. The thrones react. In hell, silence fell. The ruler gripped the abyssal throne as cracks spread beneath it. Not from invasion, but from loss. Fear had failed. Above in heaven's courts, A stillness deeper than sound unfolded. Not triumph, but acknowledgement. A being once fallen had chosen differently, and that had never happened before. Part 8. What he became. The fire was gone. The darkness no longer ruled him, but the scars remained. He was not restored to what he once was. He was something new, neither demon nor fully angel. A bridge, a testimony that rebellion is not the final chapter. The angel stepped beside him. You are free. He looked toward heaven, then toward the sealed boundary of hell. Freedom, he said quietly, is choosing who you will become. Part 9. The final image. Far below, hell prepared for war. Far above, heaven prepared for revelation. But in the space between two figures stood where annihilation once reigned, and eternity would never be the same. Because on this day, a demon betrayed hell not to win a war, but to win himself. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment.